escape the city's hustle and bustle and venture into a vast forest. Ali, a nature and silence lover, always enjoyed these solitary trips. After hours of walking among ancient trees and the soothing sound of streams, he came upon a place he had never seen before. Amid the intertwined roots of an ancient tree, something luminous and old caught his attention. Ali approached it curiously and found a book with a leather cover and strange engravings. He picked up the book cautiously and flipped through its pages. Each page contained writings and paintings that seemed to come from another world. Ali, who had never believed in the supernatural, suddenly felt an invisible force inviting him to continue reading. As time passed, the air grew darker, and strange sounds emerged from the depths of the forest. Ali, feeling a power transferred from the book, suddenly realized that the creatures described in the book were now present around him. Ali, with his breaths now numbered, listened carefully to the sounds coming from the depths of the forest. The indistinct murmurs and occasional screams that seemed to come from no living creature filled the air. He clutched the book tightly, looking for a way back to the main path. But with every step, the forest seemed to grow deeper and darker. Suddenly, in the darkness, shining red eyes appeared. Ali, wanting to scream, controlled himself and instead tried to recall what he had read in the book. He remembered that to repel supernatural beings, he had to recite a specific incantation written in the book. With trembling hands, he opened the page where the incantation was written and began to read. His voice echoed through the forest's silence, and each word seemed to resonate with a supernatural force. The red eyes disappeared, and the strange sounds gradually ceased, but the peace was temporary. Ali realized that the forest was no longer the one he knew. The trees had taken on bizarre shapes, and the air was filled with the stench of decay. He felt trapped not only in the forest, but in another world altogether. Ali, now trapped in an unknown and terrifying world, was determined to uncover the book's secrets. He knew that the only way back to the real world was to understand the hidden messages within its ancient pages. With each page he turned, he found signs and codes that seemed to be pieces of a larger puzzle. Meanwhile, the beings that had emerged from the book, each more terrifying than the last, seemed to have surrounded him. He could feel their cold and suffocating presence, even if he couldn't see them. The sound of moans and rustling leaves was the only thing heard in the forest's absolute silence. Ali remembered that one of the book's pages contained a map of the forest, showing a path to an ancient temple. He believed that the answers he sought were hidden in that temple. With this hope, Ali began to follow the map, but the supernatural beings obstructed his every step. At one moment, the ground beneath Ali began to shake, and skeletal hands emerged from the fissures, trying to drag him into the earth. Ali resisted with all his might, and by reciting the incantations from the book, managed to save himself from the clutches of death. After hours of struggle and battling supernatural obstacles, Ali finally reached the temple, a temple adorned with images of terrifying beings. Upon entering the temple, he heard a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the earth, telling him, "You are the chosen one, Ali. You have come to understand our secrets." Ali, who had stepped into an ancient and mysterious temple, was desperately seeking answers to the questions that occupied his mind. He knew that the book he held was the key to understanding this supernatural world, and perhaps a way back home. Flipping through the book's pages, Ali finally understood that the book was a compendium of ancient knowledge and magic that contained powers beyond human imagination. But with every incantation he read, the supernatural beings that now surrounded him only became angrier and closed in on him tighter. In those moments of despair, a calm and old voice echoed from the depths of the temple. An elderly man with a wrinkled face and wise eyes emerged from the shadows and said to Ali, "Young man, you must understand the true power of this book, not by reading the incantations, but by understanding the deeper meaning hidden within." The old man, who introduced himself as a guide of the supernatural, taught Ali how to use the book's knowledge to communicate with the supernatural beings and ask them to show him the way back to the real world. With the old man's help, Ali managed to make peace with the beings and convinced them to return him to his world. The beings, now empathetic towards Ali, showed him a path that passed through darkness and shadows and ended in a bright light. Ali walked towards the light with steadfast steps and a heart full of hope. With each step, the forest, the temple, and the supernatural beings behind him faded away. When he reached the light, he closed his eyes and felt his body lifting. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in the same place where he had found the book. The forest was once again peaceful and serene, and the sound of streams could be heard. The book was no longer in his hands, but the knowledge and experience he had gained from it remained in his mind forever. Ali walked home with a satisfied smile, certain that the stories he would tell his grandchildren would be real tales of his adventures in the supernatural.